Hello, everyone. You are listening to the award-winning To Hull and Back podcast, proudly sponsored by Old Zoological Bar and Kingfisher Fish and Chips in Hull. I'm your host, Nathaniel, and tonight I'm joined by Joe, Christian, and Ant to discuss no match, but still plenty of points of debate that we're going to get and sink our teeth into. So, having not had a City match to either improve or ruin, perhaps more likely ruin our weekends if it would have been a home match. I think actually it would have been the away Cardiff game, so maybe we'd be happy. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. How about you? You good?
Thoroughly depressed, but that's not based on football this weekend. That's mainly based on other things. So this will actually be nice to not think about work mostly.
Happy days. Happy days.
Lovely. I watched a game that was possibly worse than one of ours yesterday. So I've still had some form of depression because Lincoln City still can't seem to score, especially against bottom of the league, drawing 1-1 against Gary Monk's Cambridge United. That's a throwback name, isn't it? But yeah, back to the roots today.
And Ant, finally, how are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, it was like you say, it wouldn't have been a home game this weekend anyway, so we might not have been as
crap.
Yeah. Like, I don't. This season's just dull, innit? Just get it over and done with.
Well, let's launch into it then, because I know we've had Tigers talk on a Wednesday, but we've had the January transfer window. Probably, I mean, the signings we've made aren't quite as good on paper as they were last January, but as last January, have we won the window again?
Oh, well, we said we won the window last year and we got worse, so I will judge whether we won the window or not in May. However, I think Middlesbrough won it.
Yes, I think Luton signed a lot of players. Middlesbrough basically did what we did. They've made some great signings. Kelechi and Nacho that's a crazy signing in the Championship. I mean, yeah, probably a good thing to not have won the window because, as you say, we did get worse. Surely we can't get worse now, considering how bad we've been. Fingers crossed.
Can only hope, mate. You can only hope. It's time for improvement, isn't it? You look at the signings we've got, especially with, like, say, the hype around Barry, for instance. There's a lot of hype there. And though he did brilliantly in League One, and I mean, he really did, like, brilliantly. Championship is definitely a step up, without a doubt. And it's too early to say to be seen because obviously he's only had part placements of coming on. And until, I guess, he's used to what we're after and what Sellis is after, we can't really say, can we, with respect to Barry? So it's early days on that one. I mean, what is nice, though, this time is a lot of the people that we've got in are purchases, as in they're not loans.
Or if they are loans, there's a realistic chance we keep them next year.
Yeah. Like Carvalho was never going to stay, was he?
No. And that's the thing, like, we always tend to fall in love with a loan player. It's something Hull City do over and over again is fall in love with a loan player. So it's nice to have a bit more, I guess. I know this season's still got to go on and I guess we're all looking to the finish line and we're obviously all praying that we're still going to be in the Championship next season, but at least there's a foundation already to go into instead of a full squad rebuild, because there's no way we can do a full squad rebuild. There will be purchases, there will be gaps, there's contracts coming to an end. There's obviously some renewals that we'll have to do as well on certain players. But at least there's a foundation this season instead of, 20 odd players leaving the club and 20 odd players coming in. 2 sets of new managements, 2 sets of new staff. We're not going to get rid of Ruben. Well, I hope Ajin doesn't get rid of Ruben. We have seen crazy because let's be honest, I don't think we ever thought we would ever get rid of Rossi. So I guess that's in Adjun's court, but I think everybody in the world will turn around and say if Ruben's replaced, we are the craziest, maddest club in the world. So we've got foundation, which is a good thing to look forward to the end of the season and rebuild. Well, I say rebuild, the restart of the season. So we're good there, and we have signed some quality. I can say we've won it. I mean, the middle of the park is probably the best for us. The midfield that we never needed at the beginning of the season is now the most vital part of this season, the remaining season, and it's really nice to actually have a midfield where we can look at that and be really confident and think, we don't need to replace anything, we don't need to fix anything there, other than probably get Gustavo completely played through and obliged to sign, because I think everybody wants that. I don't think anybody here will dispute Gustavo doesn't deserve A, a chance, but B, at the same time, I think we all want him to sign more than anything. So he's always going to be an excellent addition to be permanently on the books. And he won't cost 35 grand and be ill for 2 years either. So well, so we'll go on that one. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Seriously, you've got to think about the players that we've signed in, excluding obviously the loan players. Well, saying that, let's bring up the loan players like Barry and stuff, because obviously it's going to take him a bit of time. But we're already, I am right in saying this, I hope, that Ajin's already had the discussion of signing Barry for next season on loan.
Believe so.
Let's see how that pans out. I guess it's just down to where do we finish this season. That conversation continues. And if we obviously fail, there's a lot of repercussions that are going to happen because if we don't stay in. So it's, I guess, as Ant says, look, we just want the season over. But I think we just need the season over for our peace of mind. I think that it is. I think as fans, though we love watching football, we need a break. This has had it all this year. This season's had everything.
Yeah, I've had enough.
Yeah.
Stop the count and all that. We're on 29 points, the bottom three on 28. Just end it now, and I'd be delighted, to be honest. Just move on.
Just move on that again.
So we haven't, of course, mentioned that we actually made a signing on deadline day. John Egan for 250 grand, allegedly. I guess we could get a Slater-esque chant.
250 grand, Johnny Egan. Not going to quite fit, is it?
If we see it really quickly, it could work. I think we went into the day, quite late in the day as well, hoping for another player. I know we were linked to Jadon Dans, who went to Sunderland on loan from Liverpool. But of course, I think the main thing, in the summer, it looked like we wanted a striker. We didn't get a striker on deadline day. This time, striker situation has been sorted. We've got a few of those. It was a left back that we need. Big debate on whether McLaughlin and Jacob can do a job there for the end of the season. Firstly, though, John Egan, I think, gives me shades of Tommy Elphick. When he got taken out of the side in January, recalled by Villa a few years ago, our defence fell apart, and I'm hoping, considering we haven't had an experienced defender bar Liam Ridgewell that season for a long time, I'm hoping Egan can sort of, help sort of improve our defence a bit, because it's a young team, especially.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
100%. I just want to go back to what Christian said about stability, and like a big thing for last season was not only did we have a load of loans cancelling, but we had a load of contracts that were running out and expiring. This year, if you look at the first team, there's 4. But then if you take it into what's actually the first team, it's 2, because let's be honest, Cynic doesn't count.
No.
And Brandon Fleming is training with the 21s, and I'm sure we'll talk about him later on. We got into a right spicy debate, didn't we, Christian, on Tigers Talk on Wednesday, if you missed that, viewers and listeners. But out of contract at the end of the year, we've got Nordin Amrabat and João Pedro, plus the loanees. We've had conversations about Barry, an obligation/option for Puerta, and an option, for Zambrano. So there's going to be considerably less overhaul this time round than there was last year. Zhao's got a 1-year option as well if all else fails.
Yeah. So,
which we're saying do it anyway. Forget the 1-year option. Give him a new 4-year contract at least. Keep him on to 50. Well, yeah, keep him on to at least 50 years old. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
It's another 18 years. Get him.
Amrabat as well, please. He was great against whoever we played, Stoke. So, I just saw a comment there. Egan and Hughes with Jones at right back. Why not just play all 4 centre backs? McLaughlin left back, Jones right back, Crooks in the field. Just dominate those long throws from Puerta and start that way. Yeah, it's one way of playing football. I think we are missing a left back. I know Drame and Kyle have played there at times, but I'd rather not have both of them on the pitch. It's kind of bad enough that we have to have one of them on the pitch at the moment, bless them. So to have both would be excessive, in my opinion. I think Jacob, he's still not played that much football, and McLaughlin, he is limited. I think defensively he can do a job there, but you're not going to try and win home games with him, especially, he's not going to offer you anything going forward. So, and I think more so than anyone, how frustrated are you at that lack of business on deadline day?
Very, because it's not just deadline day. We had a full month to sort of left back out. We still didn't do it. It's just the summer repeating itself. We needed a goal scorer in summer. We didn't go and get one, and we paid the price for it for the last few months, saying, what a horrendous summer transfer window it was because we didn't get what we needed. And then what's happened has happened. We find ourselves in the position we're in. Then we get to another month where we go, all right, yeah, we've signed quite a few goal scorers now. But arguably the weakest point of our squad is the defence. We've had, 4 clean sheets all season? We've made 1 signing. Like, the left back position is just, like, when you're looking at, a big issue for me when we're at home, the home, I think away from home, you can kind of get away with it more because you don't necessarily want the overlapping fullbacks as much. But at home, when the impetus is on us to attack, I feel like the reason that we're struggling is because for the last few years, our fullbacks have been really bad in terms of, if you think to the start of last season when we had Vinagre and he wasn't fit for the vast majority of it, we didn't have a fit left back, and we brought Giles in and he was underwhelming, and we had Matty Jacob who defensively has his attributes, but going forwards is pretty poor. And then you've got Coyle now who's regressed to the point, where you probably wouldn't even start him. Dramas, 1 good game, 1 bad game, very inconsistent. And the fullback positions are what killing us. Like, we need players that can defend one-on-one, but also gives an option as width and overlapping and giving us an option to get to the byline, especially at those home games when we should be probing deep teams that are happy to sit and just watch us play the ball in front of them for however long. Those fullback options can be the difference between winning and losing. Why are we struggling at home so much? Because we don't have those options. We're fully reliant on the wingers or the midfielders creating something, and we don't have that other outlet. And we're quite, what was worrying was he was content with having Jacob and McLaughlin as a left back options going into the last few months of a relegation battle. And then people saying, yeah, but it's all well and good because Coyle can play there, Drama can play there. They're both right backs. Why are we again at another transfer window? We've signed nearly 10 players and we're still playing players out of position. Like, it's the recruitment at this club just blows my mind. Every single time we sign God knows how many players every transfer window and we still haven't got what we needed. It's ludicrous, but look, as long as we get over the line, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, to me, left back should have been sorted very early, especially if you're going to let Giles go as early as we did. But
at least Giles scored that hilarious own goal for Middlesbrough. That was fun. I enjoyed that. But
great finish.
Well, yeah, just in the wrong net, unfortunately for him. Yeah. But yeah, we were told, of course, we tried to get Charlie Taylor, and that didn't happen. But to sign 8 players and a left back not be one of them.
In a sense, I respect it that Charlie Taylor was his top target, and he decided, you know what, I'm not just going to get someone in who's, really poor, just as like a body. Like that Kai Wagner we were linked with on deadline day, and apparently we had a loan deal turned down for. With all due respect, that man is not worth 1.7 million that we were meant to be paying in the summer. In Germany, the highest tier he played to was the second. And then he's 27 years old and he's been in the MLS since he's 21. With all due respect, he wouldn't come here and be anything but absolutely shocking. And he would be exactly that, a stopgap, someone
It's a
just
bit
brought in
harsh.
to fill a void. But
We don't really know how good Kai Wagner is. Poor guy's working his socks off over there to make a living for his family in America, and he has to turn onto YouTube and hear Joe. Oh, he's garbage. He's not. You've not seen him play.
I've never seen him play, but when you go to the MLS at 21 and you're still
Justice
there
for
when
Kai.
you're 27, you know that that a player's not going to come to the second tier, the best second tier in the world, and rip up any trees. So, like I say, in a sense, I respect that Ruben went, you know what? Charlie Taylor was my top target, and anyone else we've got won't be anywhere near as good as him. And I don't want to bring someone in just for the sake of bringing someone in. But if Matty or Sean have an injury, or we have an injury crisis at centre-back, then all of a sudden you're going back to Brandon Fleming with your tail between your legs, saying, come on, Brandon. Or, as Ant tweeted, as Christian, AD, Paul discussed on Wednesday night, as I said in private conversations on match day last Saturday, Brandon Williams is the obvious free agent choice, but his attitude stinks. As a player, he was terrible for Ipswich. He didn't do any good for Norwich.
Keep Giles at that point.
Premier League either. Yeah, it would have been easier to just keep Ryan Giles about. But this is the situation we're in. This is where we are. I saw a comment about I would have taken Carlos Vela. There's a difference when you look at the standard of football that players have played at. Carlos Vela, before he went to the MLS, he's 35 now, I think. He went to the MLS 7 years ago, 28. So it's a totally different career situation. Carlos Vela was in Arsenal's academy. You know, he was at Real Sociedad for a long, long time. He's played international.
We've got Amrabat anyway, haven't we? So
as our old guy. But then you look at Kai Wagner. I'm going to get it up now, actually. Why not? He's played for SSV Ulm, Schalke's second, and the Würzburger Kickers before he joined Philadelphia Union in 2019. With all due respect, you can't compare Carlos Vela to Kai Wagner. The situations are totally different.
When, because we are so screwed with signings, when Jacob does his ACL against Birmingham, how much trouble are we in?
Not much at that straight away. Nah,
I think we are. But we can't sit here and say. See, the problem is that it's all well and good going through every single game of the season, not keeping a clean sheet, as long as you're scoring enough goals to make up for it, and we aren't. So the priority has to be keeping clean sheets, which we seem to be doing consistently away from home. But at home, the defending is schoolboy. Like the goals that were conceded against QPR and Stoke, all four of them were avoidable. That's the main thing. It's the same. We said this every podcast last season. Silly mistakes, switching off, and poor defending, constantly hindering us, especially at home. So what do? So we all look at this team, and this is the same with all the signings that we've got rid of this month. And I've said to people, it's like, everyone seems to be insistent that we've got good enough players to do this. When do we turn around and go, maybe they're not as good as we think they are? Like, the players we've got rid of have gone to League One. Like, that to me is evident in itself. Then you've got the back four now that consistently have been, the back four hasn't changed much from last season, if at all. And it's still the same. We're still seeing silly mistakes. We're still seeing lapses of concentration. We're getting nothing from set pieces. When do we turn around and go, that back four's not good enough? Like, I love Jonesy, but it's only the last few games he's actually started playing well. Mack has been better in left back than he has in centre back. And then you've got Hughes, who's been injured for the vast majority of the season. Coyle's regressed to the point that I probably wouldn't even have him on the bench. Drama's inconsistent, and Jacob's a good understudy, but not really good first starter. So we're looking at the back four now and going, we're going into a relegation fight with a defence that can barely keep a clean sheet. And one more injury to that just makes it even worse, especially in that left back position, because Jacob, He's decent, but would any other team in the league have him as their first choice left back for the remaining 6 months of the season? I don't think any team would say yes.
Quite right. We need major recruitment defensively, but I think we know about Adjan. He wants to sign the Brazilian forward players from Fenerbahce. He's less interested in centre backs. Bless him.
It's not necessarily massive investment across the whole back line. I think Charlie Hughes is fine. I think Alfie Jones is fine. John Egan is a very, very smart signing. But the focus has to be left back in the summer. That's the long and short of it. It has to be.
We need two left backs in summer.
And a right back, please.
And a right back.
And a right back, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm interested, just sort of looking ahead to the summer, what happens with James Furlong, because he's out on loan. He was really highly rated by Brighton, but last year it was waiting for a chance, got a chance, oh no, he's injured, and now he's out on loan. I do wonder what Ruben Sayers might make of him and whether that will come into his thinking, and then we don't sign a left back because he thinks James Furlong's decent.
Well, if he's decent, he's decent, but we'll see. Depends what league we're in. A lot of the things, I think there'll only be a massive rebuild if we go down, because I'm sure a lot of the players, even if they're part of a relegation squad, they're going to think that they're better than League One. But if we stay up, then there are foundations for a good team. We've mentioned it a little bit, but I want to really sort of get into the Puerta Zambrano situation. Slater, obviously, he is a midfielder. I'm not saying good or bad. He's at the squad. He's at the team, and we're paying him money to play football. So he exists. But then we've also got Crooks and Alzate and Matozo, who are in the midfield. So allegedly, there's Palmer, of course. I'd forgotten that he'd been injured. He can play there as well. And then Simons is going to be back on loan, and I think he's done a decent job. So there's discussion that Puerta has his obligation to buy based on minutes, and then there's also discussion that we might be signing Zambrano on a permanent deal. So we'll just go around. Christian, would you have Zambrano or Gus? Long throw Gus.
What are the other or both? Because it's
if you could only choose one, because I imagine there's only space in the squad for one of them.
All right, that's a one to throw out there. If I can only pick one of them.
Well, obviously we take both, but we're not. I mean, we're not made of money. If Puerta's worth 5 million and Zambrano's got an option of 3 or 4 million, we're not made.
I guess
of money.
if we're looking, but the thing is, we're going to look at what is it or the attribute we need the most in that central midfield. It's really hard to say with respect to Zambrano because we only got him for a very short, limited period of time. I mean, what we did see, I'll be honest with you, was for me, you could tell he had that bit of special about him. Well,
in a team that hated the midfield, in a system that hated the midfield, no less.
Exactly. So, could you imagine what he's going to be like with a midfield system? It really does raise his stock in that department. With respect to Gus, is an engine, is a battler. Now, do we want the battler or do we want the person who could actually change a game with that one bit of magic? Now, God, I hate that you've asked me this question because I love Gus. I truly do love Gus. But if I'm building a team myself, even though I only saw glimpses, it's going to have to be Oscar. Just even after those tiny few glimpses that we saw, you could just see he's got that bit about him. I love Gus to pieces. I truly do. Guys, I can't believe you've asked me this, Nathaniel, because I feel bad. I feel like I'm cheating on him because by saying it. And I love everything he does. I think he's a great workhorse. Gus. I think he has that bit of skill. He does those nice little backheel flicks now and then as well. He links up well. I mean, obviously, there's a bit of a language barrier now and then. But he knows football. And I wish, and I truly do wish, he's had a bit more in the goal department. Not that just little tapping, because I was expecting a lot more long-range weldies out of him this season. That was my hope for him. And I haven't seen a single attempt from range, really. Well, I think I've seen one, and it went wide. But I haven't seen one since. So it's been really tricky to say that. But with Zambrano, you could just see it when he pinged a cross or pinged a pass. It looked effortless. It truly looked effortless when he had the ball at his feet. And though it was just a short period of time that we got to see him, I'm really excited to see what we can get out of him. But again, the big problem now is with all this that's going on in the background for him, will he still have that when all this blows over and he can actually come back into training? Will he still have that bit? So it's a gamble. It's a huge gamble to say, will he still be as special as we saw at the beginning? But yeah, no, I'm still going to stick with Oscar for what I've seen so far. I don't know about everybody else on that one.
But Ant, what about yourself?
Puerta every day and twice on Sunday. Like the Zambrano signing to me was batshit when we made it in the first place. I think it just epitomizes us in our recruitment strategy that we'd willingly buy and pay a player who we knew was going to get banned for a lengthy period of time, and then expect him to not get his ban, but he did, and then we're still like, yeah, we might still get him, even though he might not play for the next 18 months or something. He's a good player, but when we're in a kind of situation where we're going to be paying this guy week in, week out, and he's not playing, and we knew he wasn't going to play. I just think it's crazy. But Puerta, no, he's absolutely fantastic. I think when you watch him, for me, that dream midfield three would be Alzate, Puerta, and Mataza. I think you've got the perfect blend of energy, creativity, goals, defensive stability. I don't think in this current midfield three, Zambrano would start above Alzate for me. That's where I sit with it. But I would have Puerta starting, certainly above Slater. I think that he gives us so much more on the spin. He's so much better in shots, in tight spaces. He's good on like Alzate is. If you receive the ball with his back to goal, he can spin that player and take it forwards. Slater doesn't necessarily have that skill set, and I think Puerta, now that he's got that first goal, I think the goals will start to come. It's very bizarre that he won Player of the Month and then hasn't played since. I do think it's because he's very close to us having to buy him. I do think his buyout was the same as Zambrano. I think it's $3.5 million in it for both of them. So it's £7 million on two midfielders.
I'm not sure on the figures, but it wouldn't shock me if they're similar.
Yeah, I've seemed to remember $3.5 million was his buyout, but I think that for £3.5 million, he's definitely a midfielder that in 2 or 3 years is going to be worth 10 plus. So I would 100% have Puerta. If Zambrano hadn't have been in the situation he's in, where he's banned and we don't really see him play, you might have got a different answer if he'd have played consistently. But I just think that in the grand scheme of things and needing, immediate to hit the ground running, especially if we stay up next season, we might not see him again. So I just think in the long term, it would be silly to sign him if we could get Puerta.
And Joe?
Yeah. Well, I think we will end up with both.
That's not the question. Don't care.
I think if it's a choice of one or the other, though, I think we are more likely to end up with Zambrano because I think Adjan has his way of doing things, and that way is he's our boy. We trust him. We believe in him, and that will seal the deal. Interestingly, as I was looking for Ruben's quote, I stumbled across an article in the Sun from the time he got banned.
Disgusting.
I know. Headlined, Zam Slam, Hull star Oscar Zambrano facing major suspension punishment because he is allergic to shrimp. And the Sun alleges that Zambrano is understood to have tested positive for banned anti-allergy medication he took without discussion with doctors after a Copa Sudamericana game for his parent club LDU Quito at the start of the year. Copa Sudamericana, South American equivalent of the Europa League. For those, so I think the way the club saw it was if they move him to Europe, what he took is legal here, so they wouldn't ban him, which is stupid.
Yeah.
I think, well, with the sentencing coming up, I think his ban will get reduced from the 16 months that it is at the moment until a sort of October, November time. I think they'll knock 4 or 5 months off that. And I think the club will take it, because I think Zambrano is one who they'll think they can get more money from in the future than they can with Puerta. And it's not one I necessarily agree with, that they'll get more. I think they'll end up being worth about the same. But I think the club will see it as Zambrano was linked with Barcelona before this whole doping thing. So I think they'll take this opportunity while he's banned to get him relatively cheap. And then they'll try and make massive money and get him on a long contract, all that kind of thing. But yeah, I think we'll end up with both. But yeah, like I say, if I had to, well, if you pointed a gun at my head and say, guess who you think the club will end up with, one or the other, if that was the choice, yeah, I'd
Still haven't answered my question.
I'd say Zambrano.
Who would you want?
I prefer
if you're Joe Dublin.
They both do very different jobs.
Oh, come on, Joe.
I think
Oscar or Gus? Oscar or Gus?
Off that fence, Joe.
Oh, it's so hard.
If you
because they both do different jobs, innit? They're not identical players, and they do different roles. That's why.
Come on, Joe.
Right. Zambrano, because Alzate could be pushed forward alongside Matarazzo.
Yeah. Cool. All very good.
So hard.
Yeah. Personally, I would sell Kamara to Portsmouth for however much I want to, and sign both. So another interesting transfer bit of news was that Sayers did not want to let Mason Burstow go on loan to Plymouth, and I can fully accept, and I'm on board with that. No offence to Mason Burstow, our third choice striker, but the future of the whole club is more important than the 6 months or 15 games worth of Mason Burstow's career. So thank you very much. You can stay on the bench and not relegate us. So I was happy Sayers didn't say, well, yes, Burstow, you go play, because that would have been ridiculous. Obviously,
I'm very surprised that the club didn't manage to find that there weren't League One clubs, especially in like the top 10 of League One, that were willing to take him in. I feel like that's
pretty good.
It's either telling that he's not as good as we think he is, or we're paying him too much and League One clubs couldn't afford it. Because I think since he scored that goal against Swansea, Bairstow, I think he's been nowhere near it.
He's been poor, but has he played in his
playing out of position
ever for Hull City?
It's better than the Kilo, and he's a winger.
Yeah. Having watched League One yesterday, Lincoln City could do with a Mason Bairstow 100%. But no.
To use an awful phrase, there's a player in there. Quite clearly, there's a player in there. Gone past his man on the wing more than the Kilo ever did. So his first touch is a disgrace. I mean, bit harsh.
He's a Longman regen.
Fair enough. Well, speaking of Ryan Longman, perfect segue.
3 assists in 2 games.
3 assists in 2 starts or 3 games. Yeah, he was absolutely cooking that poor Port Vale left back in the Bristol Street Motors trophy.
Vertu trophy.
Vertu
trophy now.
What is it? Changed halfway through the season?
Yep. Vertu.
Oh, it's even more tin pot than I thought.
I know.
God. Okay. Well, let's just move quickly on from there. Even though Hull City haven't announced it, as tends to happen when we sell players to foreign clubs, they tend to announce it before it has officially gone through. Amr, the second of 2 Turkish injury-prone wingers on 35 grand a week, that we signed recently has gone to, however you say the first bit, Rijspor.
Jaipur Rizespor.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
I am done for this evening. My service has been fulfilled. Goodbye.
Yeah. I think he played pretty well under Rossinia and has gone completely missing under Volta, and Sayers has not really rated him.
I think that's the biggest shame, because when we saw him under Rossinia, we thought, I think I even predicted him as player of the season, so I already know that.
I think we all did, because he was the only one we had.
Yeah, but I feel like if we'd have played him in his natural number 10, we'd have probably seen the best of him there, but we just don't play with a number 10, or haven't done for the last however many months, and we've been sticking him out wide as we do most players that we have. We like to just play them out of position, and he was ineffective on the wing, and he couldn't really do it as a number 8, which is weird as well, because last season I seem to remember him being really good at tracking back and defending, and he was up and down. He was bloody everywhere. Was on there. He was always on the end of something. And we thought, Jesus, what a player we've got here.
He was busy.
That happened this season. Is it maybe because Tufan left and he didn't have his Turkish friend with him? I don't know, but he just hasn't beat, has he?
He misses you.
Yeah. Well, I'm back now. Apparently, he's crooks. So
yeah.
Abdush.
Disappointing.
Well, there's the other Turkish elephant in the room, that's Cynic. There's nothing agreed there. I think their window shuts on Tuesday. The only club that's been publicly linked with Doğukan Cynic is second-tier side Ezenle Erokspor, which is not one any one of us have heard of before that link came out 2 weeks ago. Nor is it one, Nathaniel, that me, you, and Will predicted he'd go to.
I was sure it was going to be Samsunspor. I think. I can't
Samsunspor.
We're going to be stuck with him till his contract runs out. No one's going to buy him. We're paying it. The money we're paying him, they're just going to be like, he hasn't played in about a year and a half. Why am I paying that for him?
Enshep here. Imagine Cynic gets a contract extension.
But it wouldn't surprise me.
I wouldn't. We will.
That's the most frustrating thing. You can already see it happening. Is that it'll come to it where I think finally Cynic's going, and it'll be like Hull City are proud to announce that we've extended Doğukan Cynic's contract by 1 more year, and then Adrian will come out and do a Q&A and go, "I'm telling you, we're going to see the best of him this time." It'll happen.
I don't have to imagine that Cynic will get a contract extension. I'll just have to wait 6 months and it will happen. We'll go down to League One and we'll extend his contract.
He'll be our main winger in League One when he plays. If he stays fit.
No, if our pitch is bad at the minute and he's injured without even playing on it.
Oh my God.
The pitch is in League One. Like, do you remember Peterborough away in that League One season? Could you imagine his ankles on pitches like that?
The Doğukan Cynic West Stand.
Doğukan Cynic West Stand, Uriel Felly South Stand.
Oh, God. Yeah.
He's gone. Uriel's gone.
We're getting rid of some of these people, but he needs to go.
I'm convinced that in about 4 or 5 years' time, someone will come out dodgy about that Chelsea's transfer.
100%.
Must do.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem normal at all. That was so bizarre.
It would be stranger if there wasn't anything dodgy about it. If it was just a normal football signing. Well, why? Speaking of strange transfers, Bedgia, he scored 3 goals in however many months for us. He scored 3 goals in 2 games for young boys. I assume that the Swiss league is just dog.
Must be.
He must have scored 3 goals. So. Good for him, I guess.
Emmanuel Latte-Lath must have been the only decent player in Switzerland, because he came to the Championship and looked decent. Chris Badia is going to tear it up for young boys.
Speaking of Latte-Lath, I heard he'd gone to Atalanta, and I thought, oh, what a great signing. He's gone from Championship to the top of Serie A. And I thought, oh, no, he's not gone to Atalanta. He's gone to Atlanta in the MLS. Fair enough. But why?
Well, Borough got 22 million for him, so they're all right with FFP after their January spending.
Mm-hmm. They've definitely gone for it, haven't they? So Simons went to Wickham. Smith has gone to Gillingham. I think that was it.
Am I allowed to do
Ratropi went.
Am I allowed to do a bit of self-promo about the Xavier Simons bit?
Of course, yes.
I wrote a piece for the Books Free Press about Simons. It's published by James Richings, someone who I've worked with before. Great guy, Wickham's written journalist. So he's put that out, and the link's on my Twitter. So you can go and read that at your leisure if you want to hear my summary of what Xavier Simons is like as a player. Not sure if there is a loan to buy in Simons or not. There's nothing official from the club, from either club, but Baz said there would be, and the noises all the players were making on Instagram stories. I'm probably reading into this too far, but who cares? It's a weekend with no game. We've got to do this to fill some time. All of them were sort of. It was as if he was like never going to come back. The way like McLaughlin was going, "Oh, good luck, Jav," on stories and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think Xavi will end up going permanently, especially if we sign both Zambrano and Puerta to bring that discussion back.
It makes sense though, because again, like when he played this season, he played decent, but when you compare him to the midfield we've got right now, he's never going to play.
Yeah.
And long term, is he going to be good enough to be what we want in that midfield position? I don't think he is. So it makes sense. I'm glad that them kind of transfers are happening. But it is worth noting that I probably wouldn't even trust the club if they'd have said if it was an option or an obligation or whatever, because they got it wrong with Giles. So they told us repeatedly that it was an option, and then we still bought him. So if it was an option and they chose to buy him, then they're insane. So like
it was always an obligation.
Yeah,
they didn't want the optics of it being an obligation in case he was crap.
Yeah, and he was.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so it's the FA Cup weekend. It's time for the Hull City Worryometer to go up a few levels. Plymouth have just beaten West Brom and then they beat Liverpool. So they're not sort of completely cut adrift. And also, of course, he was actually linked to our job, interviewed for our job. John Eustace seems to be leaving 6th place Blackburn for 22nd place Derby for some reason. I'm scared. I've been told off on Twitter for being scared. I mean, we're 1 point above the drop zone. I think we're probably going to stay up or go down by 1 point. That Portsmouth game, that Derby game at the end of the season, it's going to be very stressful either way. I don't think it's going to be comfortable. I don't think we're going to go down rock bottom or stay up easily. Scary. Is anyone else going to tell me off, like the people on Twitter?
No, it's valid.
No, it is definitely valid, mate. You bang on. I mean, where we're at as well. Anything that's happening in and around us, especially other teams and how they're looking at improving or getting managers in or players going A, B, and C. Everything at the moment has some sort of repercussion on us. And I mean, all right, February, the next 3 games, we're all going to be honest, the hard games.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very hard games. Saving grace is 2 of them are away. That is our saving grace. But if we...
Well, 3 of them. 3 of them are away because we've got Burnley, then Norwich at home, but then Sunderland and Cardiff.
Oh, praise be. 3 away games. Oh.
Yeah, that's 3 away games. Yeah, I mean, in the rest of February. But
we always beat Cardiff.
The scary thing. This is the scary thing. Out of those 4 games, I mean, we're looking at 12 points in total that you can get. How many points do you gentlemen actually see us getting for the rest of this month?
But it'll be 9, won't it? We'll lose 2-1 to Norwich, and we'll beat Burnley 1-0 and Cardiff 1-0 each.
Yeah.
No, we always have Cardiff. If we don't win at Cardiff away, there's something wrong.
Exactly.
But the others...
Well, this is it. Because once you finish Cardiff, you've got Plymouth, Bristol City, Oxford.
Well, we haven't got Plymouth anymore. That Plymouth game's going to get
that'll get moved because
they beat Liverpool in the cup. There's like hardly any space for that game to get put in either. So they'll either move it. They'll move it like 3 days to like Tuesday the 4th or Wednesday the 5th. Because if you look through the calendar, every other midweek just about is taken by something, or we've got Easter Monday, so they can't put it on until pretty much the end of the season. So they've got the 4th or the 5th of March, or the 1st and the 2nd of April, really, to get that game played.
I mean,
we'll just do it in the summer as like a 47th game.
Or just cancel the title.
Call it a draw. Saves us the embarrassment of a home loss to Plymouth.
Both teams would happily take that, yeah.
No, our problem is, and the biggest worry is that we aren't going to, as good as we are away from home, we are not going to win every single away game. And Sunderland, like that, we might play well, but you expect us to lose. Like Sheffield United, it's not going to happen all the time. That was a very good result and probably a one-off. And then the issue is the home form is so horrendously bad that everyone's going, yeah, it's all right because we've got all the teams around us to play at home. That means nothing because we will lose to them all, and that puts us in an even worse position because we don't beat. Look what happened to Stoke. It's when we've only won twice at home all season. That is a real problem because it means we have to pick up maximum points as many times as possible away, which we're capable of getting points every now and again, but we won't do it on a consistent basis. The home form will get us relegated. I do think that after the next run of 3 games, we'll be in the bottom 3 and we'll be right up against it, and that's going to be a real problem. And I think a lot of people are saying the squad's too good, the manager's too good. We've had that before with teams and they've gone down. I think we are in real.
Well, the thing is, they might be too good, but the problem is that they're paying for the Tim Volter era.
Yeah.
100%.
And the one thing, though, I will say with the next away game at Burnley. Yeah. At least they don't score a lot.
Yeah.
They just don't concede a lot.
We had more XG than them, I think.
Yeah, which is crazy. So that's the saving grace for us with our away form. And I'm not saying, look, it's our be all and all and our away form's going to win the season because it's really not. It's just it's a good little backup that we do play a bit better away from home. They don't often score. So do I see a point there? I do see 1 point. I actually do, which is...
That'll be a 0-0 or a 1-0 either way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Exactly, absolutely. Then you're looking at home, Norwich City. Now, nope. I mean, though it was an away, we've already played them away at theirs. How good did Norwich look when we played them at theirs? They absolutely steamrolled us. They destroyed us. Yeah.
There's a caveat I've got, and that was Tim Walter suicide football of playing an extremely high line, your defence on halfway, your midfield pushing up right to the edge of the box, apart from poor Oscar Zambrano, who was just left about 40 yards from goal to sweep up. And then all they just did was, they've got now up front, because Zhao was yet to make his debut before that game. He made his debut at Norwich. They've got nothing up front, so they're not going to score. They're not really going to threaten. So we'll just sit back. They'll throw everything forward, and then we'll counter-attack them. And that's all they did.
And it was good counter-attack football, though. That's the thing. It was really good counter-attack football.
The horrifying thing is that with the form of our fullbacks at the minute, Louis Coyle or Cody Drama are going to be up against Enzo Lafay, Borja Tynes, Marcus Edwards.
Yeah.
That's a real...
Brooklyn's just going to clatter them, and it'll be fine. Fingers crossed.
And that's the worry, isn't it? Straight away. So far, we've said 1 point out of 2 games, and then you look at Sunderland. Now, look at the signings they've just made. They're going to score. I'm sorry, they're just going to score. They've got a solid team of Sunderland.
I mean, we've only had 4 clean sheets all season, so we can safely say most teams will score against us.
Yeah, exactly. All right, they're going to score at least more than 2. There you go. So
hat trick.
That's 1
maybe?
point, potentially 1 point I can see in those games. Cardiff City, yeah.
We always win at Cardiff. Win.
Yeah.
Especially in
we'll win.
midweeks.
So what we say, 4 points in the rest
I
of
think
February.
that keeps us. I think 4 points keeps us out the bottom three.
Just about.
I think we could end up with a maximum of 7 out of 12. Realistically, I think 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm on the 4 train.
I think Cardiff will win, and then the 4th and the 5th will come from either Burnley or Sunderland, because even though Norwich is at home, it's at home.
But I had this conversation yesterday. The worrying thing is, and I can't understand why are we so bad at home? And this is the most frustrating thing that we all come away from home games for. It's different players, different managers, different tactics, still the same things. Like I don't understand it. Like if we were even semi-competent at home, we'd be mid-table.
And would we be in the Premier League actually?
Because we've got what? If we win the next 2 or 3 games in a row at home, we'd still be the joint worst home team in the league. That's how bad we've been.
That's crazy.
So like even if we were just slightly better at home, we'd be nowhere near the bottom 3. The home form has absolutely killed us. And I can't for the life of me understand why.
But if we were the second worst home team, we'd be about 12th, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Literally 6-7 points better off. Like we'd be nowhere near the bottom 3. And that's the most frustrating thing. Dropping points against such off. And then the teams around us, the bottom half, unfortunately we played them away under Tim Volter. So we didn't get anything. Like Plymouth and Oxford, Derby. Like, no, it is a worry because I just can't. I look at it and like that first 40 minutes against Stoke, I think was our best home performance of the season. And then we give away one stupid goal because Jones undersells his header and Drama just lets it hit him. And the 1-1 back in right before half time. And we never look the same. We just never recover. It's whenever we concede at home, they just switch off.
Do we? Right.
So bizarre.
Obviously, we concede stupid goals at home. I'm not going to dispute that, and that's our biggest problem at the moment. And we've spoke about the fullback situations where generally the goals or the mistakes are coming from those points. But before the game starts and you look at the lineups, or even that first 5 minutes of a game where you just sat down and you've just watched it all kick off, is it just me, or does it feel like we go into the game with a completely different style and mindset than we do away? Like you can see us play more, I don't want to say conservatively, but it's like they're afraid to do anything wrong, which hinders their attack in the free flow at home.
We struggle being the team with the impetus. For the last 2 years, we've been a counter-attacking team. So that is part of the issue, is that when we're at home, we're the team expected to be on the front foot, we can't do it.
Yeah.
But why can't we do it? Because we've had so many players of quality. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I can think of is because we don't have fullbacks that give us enough width. We give it to the winger, and then he's one-on-one with his fullback, but they double up on him, and we don't have another option. So where do we go? We go backwards and start again. So this all comes down to the fullbacks not being good enough in that offensive sense, that we don't have the outlet to get to the byline. I mean, I was watching Wilson Esbrand for Stoke in front of me in that game and thinking, bloody hell, I wish we had him because he was amazing. Every time they got the ball out to him on that left-hand side, he rips us apart and got to the byline and constantly whipped balls in. And I just thought that's what we're missing. We don't have a player that does that. Not one.
And that's the thing. Like, it's frustrating for us lot, isn't it? It is when we're there and we're watching it and we can see other teams doing what we want. And individually, would you say like a lot of the players have got the quality to do that? Yeah, I guess we would. I mean, other than the one or two that keep making the same mistake over and over again. But then you see that glimpses of, well, you can do it. You've done it. So why have you reverted back? Because that's a frustrating thing to see. And especially, like you say, with Cody, attacking-wise, when he at the very beginning, you saw a bit of flair. You saw a bit of, I'm going to get it, cutting inside. A few little step overs going around players. He was that offensive kind of player. And then all of a sudden, I'm not even saying since Ruben turned up, because I'm not saying that. I'm actually saying it happened during, mid Walter.
He was inconsistent under Waller as well, to be fair.
He was inconsistent, yeah. But I just haven't seen any sort of the Cody we signed with the kind of the attack, the flair.
The drama that looked decent at left back under Tim Walter of all managers.
Yeah.
But even when he played right back, one game, one bad game.
Yeah. He's always been a bit inconsistent, I will say that. I mean, we had this chat the other week, didn't we, about Cody versus Louis. I'm saying Louis' form is jumped off a cliff and sealed away in a chest behind 18,000 padlocks this season. Not saying he doesn't, give the effort or the club's, he's tired mentally after all what he's gone through. I'm not disputing that. I'm not even going to dispute that his love for Hull. I'm not going to dispute that. I'm just saying his form is seriously gone to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. And it's not coming back up at the moment. So do I go in my head with Cody Drameh, who's inconsistent, can have a semi-good game or a great game or to a really, really poor game to, oh my God, just get off the pitch, please, anybody but you game. It's swings and roundabouts. Who do you pick? Do you pick the guy who will always give the effort, or will you pick the guy who you just don't know who's going to turn up that game? It's hard to say at the moment with the fullback. I think I know we've spoken about the left back and everything like that. Last season, I was still screaming for a left back all through during the summer whilst everyone was going, we need a striker. I was the only person who was probably screaming, going, no, left back first, sure.
Left back's been a problem position for years. Our best left back in the last few years has been Jacob Greaves.
Callum Elder gets in this team.
Elder gets in this team.
Yeah. He does.
5 million, please give all the money on Cynic and take that 70 grand, throw it at Elder.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Weirdly, under Paul Warne, it was so strange at Derby because Callum Elder's there. He's a good Championship left back. He still gets in our team. He gets in our team last year. Let's be honest, as good as that was.
Probably.
And Paul Warne wasn't picking him in favour of the 37-year-old flying Scotsman, Craig Forsyth.
I'd still take Elder, definitely. 22 games this season.
Yeah.
I saw a comment earlier. Have we had a decent left back since Robertson? Yes. Callum Elder. Callum Elder. League One Callum Elder especially. That player... Honestly, he might Messi out of a game. League One Callum
Championship
Elder.
Callum Elder was not brilliant though.
Not.
He was all right. He'd do a job.
And he'd do a slightly better job than Jacob. Yeah, go on, Christian.
Sorry, no, it was me. I just want to go. It's just popped into my head. You know what, Mike? I've got a memory like a goldfish. So, with respect to Charlie Taylor over the period as well of saying we're looking at him, it was literally 24 hours after it came out of saying, all right, we're interested, where he turned around and went, no. Not really sure. And we held on. So if we already knew 24 hours later, and the speculation of this signing was 2.5, 3 weeks almost about Charlie Taylor?
I think
you knew 24 hours later. Just look elsewhere. You're telling me there's not another left back in the world that could have filled in and done. And I'm not even saying, don't go for a lower style of player, but you're still trying to tell me there isn't someone at the same level of Charlie Taylor.
I don't know why we didn't go for Connor Townsend. He's not playing.
Connor Townsend.
Put it this way: Connor Townsend left the Championship side to sign for a Premier League side. He
is now rotting away on the bench.
He's at the stage of his career where I don't think he's particularly bothered about playing loads of games, especially in the Premier League. I think he just wanted
Taylor too.
I don't know. I think if you're not playing football, but you get a loan spell to a Championship club, you are still getting your Premier League wages, but you're playing football. And I think if we'd have gone for him, we'd have got him. They just didn't go for him. That's the bottom line.
That's the thing.
They obviously wanted Charlie Taylor. He was number one. They went for him. He said he wanted to explore his options. The club didn't like that and said, right, stuff you then. And he's still there. So we needed a left back, and he's still at Southampton not playing because he didn't even sign for anybody else. that's just the calamitous.
Did he not end up at Watford?
No, he's still at Southampton.
And done his contract
Watford didn't
ends
even
the
go
end
in
of this
for him.
season as well.
I was talking to Football Martin, who's a big Saints content creator. Watford never even went for him. It was his agent trying to drum up other interest, and when no other clubs in for him. It was just we'd agreed a deal, and his agent went, "Oh, I'll see if there's anybody else for you actually," and then made up the Watford thing. And we've gone, right, no, if you want to go Watford, go there then. They were never even interested. So he's still at Southampton doing nothing. And we needed a left back. Crazy.
Southampton have about 4 left backs. We could have gone for any of them, actually, whilst we were there.
The more you try and think about like Hull City logically when it comes to transfers, you just blow your mind. So you just,
don't try and rationalise it. Anyway,
sorry for going back, everybody. It was just, do you know when something gets into your brain, you're like, I've got to say this now. Sorry.
Looking ahead to Burnley, I'm going to flip this coin, heads or tails. Which one's drama? Which one's Coyle?
Coyle is has lost his head, so he's tails.
So Louis Coyle is tails, right? Let's see. Come on then. It's been ages since. Oh shit! He's landed at the top shelf.
This is great content for podcast, isn't it?
Should we get another one?
Let me see what it landed on. Hold on.
Look, Coyle and Slater shouldn't be starting. And
that's another thing.
It landed on heads.
It landed on heads, right?
And in a pile of dust.
So is that drama?
Drama.
Cody Drama's starting then.
Yeah.
So who's your left back?
Away from home, it's worked. I'd go McLaughlin.
Yeah, I'd have to agree to start Sean there. Is like he's not really had a bad game at left back, has he? Really? So yeah, keep him there for now. You've got the centre backs, but I want to agree with what Ant just said. Slater.
Surely Crooks is fit by now.
I challenge one person, other than saying that he runs around a lot, to give me what does Regan Slater give this team in a positive fashion. Comments, you three, anybody. Tell me one thing.
The one thing I will give him credit when it was a mess, and when I say a mess, I mean when Tim was in charge. The one thing I will give him credit was his communication to everybody on the pitch to actually tell him, you need to be over here, you need to be over there, because
put him on the side of the pitch with a megaphone then, don't start.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. He could be there instead. But you've got to think when someone's on the pitch like that and actually trying to help out and communicate, I'll give him that credit because it was a mess. At least someone was trying to keep it organised. So I will give him his dues there. But when we're talking about
vein of form,
he can. All right, someone said he can carry the ball. Who's that? Harry. I agree. He can carry the ball, but the problem is he gets to the end.
He loses
and
it.
he doesn't know what to do with it, and he loses it. Yeah,
runs
he can carry it up. He'll take a shot and it'll go wide or hit a post.
Yeah, he's not giving us goals. He's not giving us assists. He loses the ball in possession. He doesn't really do much defending. He literally just runs around. So I'm not entirely sure. And people will go, yeah, but the manager knows more than us because he keeps picking him every week, so he must be doing something good. But we're not.
Malik Wilkes said to me, Martin Samuelson was the best player in the world in training. And look how that ended up. So
when you've got the options that we've got in midfield, I mean, Matazo, Alzate, Puerta, and Crooks, all 4 of them above Slater. I have no idea how he gets in.
Yeah,
even Lincoln would fit in.
And Slater's biggest problem, and that's what I mentioned earlier, is that he can't play with his back to goal. He only plays the way he faces. So when you're passing the ball from the centre back, there's only 2 directions it's going. Back to whoever gave him it or to the fullback. He can't. Whereas if you gave the ball to Alzate, he would spin his player and drive us forwards. Matazo showed he's got the physicality to do it. Puerta, he can do it. He'll spin around. He's really good in tight spaces. Slater doesn't have that skill set. And the frustrating thing is that he's actually getting into really good positions, and it would probably be our top scorer by far if he'd even put half of his chances away.
He'd be the league top goal scorer, on. Come on, the amount of chances and efforts and posts and everything. He'd
have gone to the Prem for 15 mil in January because he did 12 goals. But he's just not like even the one right at the death against Stoke. You don't even get it on target. Like the frustrating thing is when you're in a rut and we persist with players that aren't really benefiting you, it's frustrating to watch when you've got real quality on the bench. Like we say, Puerta got voted as the player of the month, and then he hasn't played since.
Yeah.
But Regan Slater keeps starting every week. It's crazy.
So another one that
I still don't think Puerta will play because it's Burnley. I think he'll go for Alzate, Matazo, and Crooks with Puerta and Slater both on the bench, which is still fine. But I still don't think Puerta will get in the team until Sunderland or Cardiff, because I think he'll want Crooks in there. Norwich, to be fair, I think Norwich, Sunderland, or Cardiff. He just won't be in the team for Burnley.
Yeah,
perhaps. Shall we do predictions for the next two games?
Ooh, 3-0, 3-0. I've just formed into Will.
Oh, but which way? To us?
Well,
so you're saying that we're going to beat Norwich at home 3-0. You need your head tested.
Yeah.
Take that one up with Will.
Okay.
Burnley, I can see us nicking a 1-0. It won't be any more than that, like you said, Ant, earlier, to either team. And Norwich, it pains me to comment on what will be another defeat at home. 2-0, 2-1, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. And
Burnley, it'll be 0-0 or 1-0 either way. I think it'll probably be 1-0 Burnley, but I wouldn't put it past City to do 1-0 to us, because that's how we do. We lose at home to Stoke, but we'll go and beat Burnley away. That's just the way we do things. Norwich, I just go into any home game at the minute just wondering why I'm even going. So I just can't see us. And Norwich are a good team. They're really dangerous in wide areas. Is Sargent fit for Norwich? Do we know?
yeah, he scored against Derby yesterday.
Yeah, so that's a problem as well, because he's really good. So yeah, with how we lapse in defence at home, it's just always a pain, and we miss so many chances. And I can only see Norwich win, but I'm hoping that it turns, that we get somewhat of a acceptable home record by the time the season finishes, because we'd stay up. That's the bottom line of it. But I mean, I said this at Stoke when we went 1-0 up so early as well. I thought, this is it. We'll hammer these now, and we'll be fine. Yeah, no, I was totally wrong. So
Jinxed it, Ant.
Yeah.
Christian?
0-0 or 1-1 at Burnley. They don't score, but they don't concede, and we can't score. So, but it's an away game, so you never know. Oh my God, Harry, no.
Audio listeners, Harry Oxley commented Kamara hat-trick against Norwich.
He actually had a really good game I think he had his best game for us against Stoke. I can't understand why he was took off.
He did.
Should have taken Gallat off, shouldn't he?
But I think at home against Norwich, I think we're going to watch an identical Stoke game. I truly do. I think we're going to be 1-0 up, maybe even 2-0 up, and we'll either lose 2 or 3.
2 goals at home.
Yeah, no, I think
pushing the boat out there.
I'm going to push the boat out. We can easily get an accidental own goal or deflection. So, we'll take a couple of shots. Just got to. That's the thing. How bad is it that we're thinking about this? And we're talking like this about at home form.
And we score more than once at home.
Yeah,
really?
We're going to do it. Yeah, I believe 2, but we are also going to lose by 3. So we'll score. We'll be ahead. We'll be the better team for 90 minutes, but we're going to do something completely smackish and just go, here you go out wide, cross it in. Oh no, it hit someone's backside and bounced in the goal, or
that is what happens.
It's what happens.
I'm in a group chat that's got a content creator or a podcast from every single club in the league, and to reflect how bad our home form is at the minute, people are genuinely looking forward to coming to Hull, which is a sentence that they never thought they would say. They genuinely go. They look at their next run of games and they just look at us and go 3 points. Yeah. If they're coming to our ground, they go, yeah, that's a win, so that's fine. And this is teams like Plymouth, who haven't even won away from home in the league this season. They're looking at us and going, it's all right, we'll beat them at their place. That's how bad we are. Like the audacity of a team that's not even won away to go, it's fine, we'll beat these guys.
Final prediction: John Egan gets thrown straight in against Burnley.
Against his former team, he's he'll get on the end of a corner, won't he?
He'll put Macca in left back and Egan in centre half, I think.
Yeah.
Louis Barry will also start, I reckon.
I was going to say Barry's got to start, but who's going up top?
Kyle Joseph, do what we did against Chef U. Joseph on to run him about for a bit, and then about 65 minutes, you throw Zhao on.
Yeah. Just try and repeat Sheffield.
It worked. It works. We all saw how it worked. We all saw the dynamic of that game change up top as well when we brought Zhao on after the sub. So if everyone can see how well that worked, why don't we just rinse and repeat the same tactic over and over again if it works? That's the one thing that gets me.
Absolutely. I'm going to say we're going to lose 2-1 at Burnley and we're going to beat Norwich. Let's reverse the curse. Let's do it. Kamara, he's going to prove us wrong and he's going to score against Norwich. He's going to prove them wrong. Absolute worldie. Not really. I think probably 1-0 at Burnley. Maybe we'll play better against Norwich because they're a good team. Maybe a 1-1. But it
Can I
could
just
really be
say,
anything.
if we get 2 decent results, can you imagine what next Sunday's show is going to be like? Because we're all going to be all over the shop if we get 2 results.
If we win at home, I don't think I'd know what to say.
It'd be delirious.
That's it.
I'd be like, I don't think I genuinely didn't think I'd ever see the day.
We win at home, I won't be on because I'll still be celebrating from the night before.
Hey, we've seen crazier things. This is Hull. Jesus Christ. So,
Well, here's to that. Joe and Christian, thanks for joining me and everyone commenting in. And after 2 more matches, hopefully we've got at least 1 win, preferably at home. I don't really need to win away from home like we did against Sheffield United again. So we'll see you next week.
yeah.